Just this past week, the House passed its annual defense authorization bill. You told CBS's Margaret Brennan this weekend that you think that the final product is going to be bipartisan after the Senate passes theirs and the House and the Senate resolve their differences, because the House version was mostly partisan. I want to ask you specifically about a faction of the Republican Party that has been opposed to assistance for Ukraine. We got the clearest number yet at how many there are. There were 70 Republicans who voted for an amendment last week to this bill that would end assistance to Ukraine. Of course, that's not a majority of Republicans, but it is a third. Are you concerned moving forward that this faction is going to grow and then it will be perhaps more difficult to pass additional security assistance for Ukraine?
Well, I'm going to do something they advise every politician not to do, and that's speak the truth here. And I'm going to be honest with you.
I love
Yes,
it.
I am
Mhm.
very worried. I think that number, well, the response I give is what you said. The majority of Republicans still voted to support Ukraine, and that's very significant, I think. The Reagan Institute came out with a poll recently finding that 71% of Republicans support our efforts in Ukraine. But that number is very disturbing, Leanne, particularly the timing of this vote was very uh, harmful and damaging to the counteroffensive itself. I can't think of a worse message to send to Putin than 70 members of the House voting to give assistance to Ukraine. I personally thought it was irresponsible. I disagree with it, but every member is entitled to their own opinion. I think that if Ukraine can be successful in this counteroffensive, every American likes to bet on a winning horse. But if they are not successful in the counteroffensive, I think that's going to greatly damage the morale not only of Ukrainians but the will of the American people to support this fight. The longer it drags out, the worse it gets, and that's precisely what Putin wants. He wants a long, protracted conflict because he knows that long term that can impact not only the will of the American people but the Europeans as well. That's why I keep calling on the administration to give them everything they need to try to end this as soon as possible.